You're listening to the voice of the Frontline Protector, a production of Blue Ram Media Group, LLC, and Private Officer International. The Private Officer Beat radio show is about to begin.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Private Officer Beat radio show, a production of Blue Ram Media Group, LLC, and Private Officer International. I'm broadcasting today, believe it or not, from Florida and the beach of Alabama. I'm on the Florida-Bama line where both Florida and Alabama meet along the beautiful Gulf Coast. I'm going to be going into a meeting soon after the radio show, and so I stopped here to conduct business and broadcast the radio show overlooking the beautiful blue-green waters of the Gulf Coast. Palm trees are waving in front of me, and yes, there's a light breeze, but it is still very, very hot down in these parts. No, I'm not trying to make you jealous. All right, sure I am. Traveling the way that I do sometimes, I do have to broadcast from different locations, but as I've said before, the greatness of this whole internet business is that it can be done any place, literally, as long as you have your equipment with you, and even, sometimes you can actually call it in, as they say, and that's, just flexibility of internet radio. Although we are broadcasting live, we're not a podcast. I know a lot of people talk about podcasts as if it's a bad thing, but very famous people have podcasts, so it must not be that bad of a thing. But no, our radio shows are broadcasted live, and then it is sent to over 30 different platforms where it can be streamed, downloaded, and played at any time, any place, worldwide. So we have kind of the best of both worlds. I've often said that Private Officer Beat Radio, we started with a small town radio program, and we knew that wasn't going to work because we want to get the message out to the world, not just the U.S. When we became an international company, we decided we wanted to talk to everyone in security. It didn't matter if they were in France or Canada, Mexico, or someplace here in the U.S., and that's what we've done, and it's been very successful, and it has helped us to help train people, to alert people, to inform people, and that is really our goal here at the Private Officer Beat Radio and Private Officer International. So, that's where I'm at. You might be able to hear the seagulls. Every few minutes they're flying by. And I'm just kicking back here right on the beach and enjoying myself. I don't get a lot of vacations, but I do get a chance to travel, and I try to work a day or two extra into those trainings and different business travel that I have to do, and that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I have business to attend to here shortly, and I had to do the radio show, and so it all worked out. A few years back, I got a chance to broadcast from Montana, from a beautiful mountain lake at a resort, and that was really spectacular. We were doing a training for a Indian-owned 2 casinos and a large resort hotel, and that was a lot of fun, and we hope to go back there soon. Right now, we're working with another similar situation. This is in Alabama, and we may get the opportunity to do some training with those folks as well. Remember, if you are a member or non-member and you know someone who is interested in a particular type of training, contact helpdesk@privateofficer.com. We will reward you. We will even pay you a finder's fee. Helpdesk@privateofficer.com. We have a lot of news, of course, today, as always, and we've got a couple of things to talk about. On the last program, we talked about violence. On this Sunday's LP, Loss Prevention Zone, again, we talked about violence in retail But not everyone is laying down and playing dead. No. Things are changing. I've talked about several times in the last few months, the pendulum swings both ways. Yeah, it may look like, well, we just got to give up and let the bad guys win. No, the pendulum is swinging. Trust me. We talked about in the radio program yesterday on the LP Zone how a number of retailers are fighting back, even using force. Force. Yeah. If you didn't listen to the show, you really need to go back. It's always available on demand 24/7. Just in the last few weeks, you have seen a number of convenience store owners just beat the crap out of shoplifters. One shoplifter came in with a plastic garbage can, a large plastic garbage can on wheels, and began just filling it up with merchandise. But that didn't work out too well for him because he was soon attacked by 4 or 5 store employees who were from a different country, and they took their country values and their country ways from that foreign country to heart here in the USA, and they beat the crap out of that shoplifter with sticks until he couldn't stand. And I just read a few days ago, the prosecutor said no charges will be filed. Again, just within the last few days, a 7-Eleven, the same thing happened. A person came in and began stealing cartons and cartons worth of cigarettes. And once again, the store manager and employee took that man to the ground, beat him, subdued him, and yeah, that's what's happening. And again, all within the last few weeks. Guitar Center, which is a national chain. A person came in and stole the high-ticket guitar off the rack. And as he tried to make his way to the front door, the store employee said, no, you don't. No, not here. You've got the wrong place. And they grabbed a hold of him, and they put him in a wrestling mode where they really tied him up with their legs and arms, and they had him trapped, hitting him and telling him eventually they're going to let him up, and he's going to leave, and he's never going to come back. People are fighting back. When I come back, I'll tell you 2 stories where law enforcement, in similar situations, beat the crap out of someone, and it was all caught on tape, and it was all legal, justified, and reasonable force. You're listening to the voice of the Frontline Protector. We'll be right back.
Trafficking is slavery.
And it happens all over America.
Any child, any woman, any man could potentially become a victim of human trafficking.
I am a victim of labor trafficking.
I was victim of child sex trafficking, but now I own my body.
Human trafficking is any kind of forced labor.
It can happen to anybody.
I am a mother.
I am an author.
I am a son.
I'm an advocate.
I am an educator.
I'm a sister.
I am a brother.
I'm so much more than what happened to me.
I am strong.
I am brave.
I am outspoken.
I am compassionate.
I am a survivor.
I'm a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I am a survivor of human trafficking.
Body Armor USA, we've got what it takes to protect you. Whether you're looking for the top quality protective armor or protective clothing, stab-resistant vests or gloves, contact my friend Ben over at Body Armor USA. Give him a call, 516 area code 817-1666. Again, that's area code 516-817-1666. Body Armor USA, we've got what it takes to protect you. No doubt about it.
Welcome back to today's radio show, the Private Officer Beat Radio production of Blue Ram Media Group, LLC. And we are the voice of the frontline protector, and that's why we try to put as much information and training out there as possible. We know that a lot of people do not have access to this information or the training, and that's why we're kind of confused as to why people still are complaining about having to pay $4.17 a month for our news products, because really they can't get most of that stuff elsewhere, and we're doing a lot of the work. We're doing all the work. And they're taking advantage of it. Some people use it for training. Other people disseminate it within their company, within their organization. We even know banks that read the newsletters. So for the life of me, I don't understand why it's a big deal. All newspapers charge a fee now if you go online. I mean, we have to pay them ourselves. We have a number of subscriptions that we pay every year, and some of them are over $100 a year. So why the big deal? I'm really not sure. Today, we're talking about what's happening in our business, in our world. How do we fight against it? When can we fight against it? And we're going to talk about some legalities and liabilities. But the bottom line is you have a right to defend yourself within reason, although we are seeing some things going above and beyond what is reasonable, especially from security officers. And again, that just all goes right on back to the lack of training. You can hear the seagull going by my car window. All right, so today we have really several other things that I want to get to. Unfortunately, we have had to cancel the Private Officer International Conference in Alabama. It is canceled. We have sent out notices to everyone who subscribed. We just didn't have enough people registered, even though it was free. There was no charge. But people still just didn't register, didn't participate. And unfortunately, we've had to cancel it. We're going to do some regional training at several locations, and we are going to be open to other things as well. When we come to a business or a school or a church, we do have to charge. Unfortunately, not enough people took advantage of the free training that was being offered at our conference. So now that we're scheduling local training again, we will have to charge. But if you are interested in having us come in and sponsoring a training at your business, your school, whatever it might be, contact helpdesk@privateofficer.com, helpdesk@privateofficer.com. And we will be more than glad to come out and do that. We're also still holding the Private Officer Memorial Annual Week. We do it every year. We're not going to cancel that. And we still hope to do some type of memorial ride. It may not be nationwide as we planned because, the sponsorship and the support just hasn't been there. But we are more than willing to do it locally in your city, your county, your state. And all that you have to do is contact us at helpdesk@privateofficer.com. We would love to be able to come to your state and do a memorial ride and then hold a memorial service and even a training. It can be a whole day event. Contact helpdesk@privateofficer.com. This past week, we presented 2 awards to 2 security officers in Canada for life-saving. 2 life-saving awards. We sent them their material, their award bars, and their certificates to their employer who presented them. So that was a pretty cool event. I wish that I had a private jet and I could fly from here to there and back again and not worry about the cost or expense, but it just doesn't happen that way. And but we did get that out there, and they sent some pictures back, which was really cool. If you have any employees or you know, law enforcement or others that deserve to be recognized, again, just contact us at helpdesk@privateofficer.com, or you can go to our website, privateofficer.org/awards, and fill out the nomination form right there. We love to recognize people, and I think that we don't recognize people enough, especially in our industry. Whether it be private security, loss prevention, law enforcement, even they don't get recognized enough. But, please contact us at helpdesk@privateofficer.com. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Private Officer Beat Radio, a production of Blue Ram Media Group, LLC, and Private Officer International.
It's a very simple thing. It only takes 2 seconds. We all know we should do it. We all say we do it. But do we? About 35,000 people were killed in motor vehicle accidents last year. More than half were not wearing a seatbelt. A brother, a father, a mother, a best friend. Is it worth it? I lost a sister. Don't let it happen to you and your family. Tell the people you love to buckle up.
I don't want to go blind with diabetes.
I don't want to lose a foot or a leg.
I don't want to have kidney failure, so I'm taking control. I'm controlling my diabetes.
It's making a huge difference.
I'm eating healthy and staying physically active.
I'm taking my medicine.
If I can do it, anyone can. Control your diabetes for life. Call 1-800-438-5383.
I mentioned on the radio program last week that we have accomplished a big thing for us, a big goal. We have produced a couple of shows that will be on our new platform. We have a brand new online platform called the Frontline Protectors. And, we've already gotten some complaints because we're charging $69 a year access, but I believe that's reasonable. Again, you don't have to purchase it. We hope that you do, of course, but I don't know why people think everything is free. I really don't. I'm a member. I'm a lifetime member. I've been a long-time member, and we do really appreciate that. But, you know, it takes money to produce things, whether it's the newsletter or videos. We're out there filming. We're interviewing. Again, just like with our news products, you can't get this anyplace else. There's no other company who is concentrating on law enforcement and security and EMS and loss prevention. There's just not such a thing. That's why we decided about 2 years ago to begin an online platform where we can do some shows, we can create some shows, we can do some following of security officers and recording real security officers doing real security work and get this out to the public. And we're actually excited that we're really back in the mode where we're in the production mode. Again, it costs money to travel. It costs money to produce these shows. It costs money to pay employees, to pay our contractors that have to help produce these things. And we'd love for you to become a member. We will probably have this online, at least the first few shows, probably within the next 30 to 60 days maximum. So I'm thinking October 1st. It should be a done deal. But to have it there at all after such a long wait is amazing. And if you would like to get your company highlighted, spotlighted on the air, if you want to be recognized, if you have a patrol division, if you have, if you do housing authority, if you do school, campus, whatever it might be, contact us, helpdesk@privateofficer.com. We will talk with you and see if this is something that will work within our platform. I think that it's a great opportunity for security companies, private police companies. We're trying to get a private college police department to let us come in, interview them, and be part of the program, and we'll see how that works out. There's no other company, $69 or $79 a year is much cheaper than Netflix or Amazon or some of those others. So stop complaining, start enjoying, give up your cigarettes and your beer.
Told me not to do drugs. You told me not to drink and drive. You gave me so many messages about how to stay safe. Why didn't you keep me safe by properly storing your gun?
The Federal Aviation Administration wants you to fly your drone responsibly. Avoid flying your drone near other aircraft, especially near airports. Fly your drone below 400 feet. Always keep your drone in sight. If you see a safety issue involving drones, contact local law enforcement immediately. Fly smart. Fly safe. Have fun.
There's a couple of things I want to touch on today about what's happening in the news that you might be interested in, and this is really one of those stories that you just cannot make up. They say that more times than not, fiction is just, it is what it is, I guess. Coming out of Fairfax County, Northern Virginia, right along the D.C. area, police are still looking to identify a man who robbed a store with some interesting companions. 3 parrots. That's right. He entered a store at 8 a.m. in the morning of August the 22nd, pulling a knife near the McDonald's in the Seven Corners area, and he took off with an undisclosed amount of money. It's not really that there was another robbery in this area, because there's a lot of crime in Fairfax County, but detectives say what is unique is that the robbery suspect, wearing a cowboy hat, had 2 parrots on top, a patterned shirt, and a 3rd parrot on his shoulder. Now, witnesses say the suspect jumped into a blue Ford SUV, but they didn't get a license plate. Police want your help. 703-256-8035. And if you don't believe me, just search bandit with parrots. It's all over the news. Also in the news this week, 2 school security officers have died in the first week of school. One was directing traffic on a public street when he was hit by a vehicle in Arkansas and killed. Police are still investigating and say charges are coming forth. We're monitoring this. The security officer is said to have been a favorite at the school, had been there for quite some time. The second school security officer died in Memphis. He had a heart attack. He had broken up a fight earlier, and about an hour or so later suffered a heart attack. In St. Louis, Missouri, a school security officer there has been sentenced to 67 years in prison. Dexter Wade, 40, was sentenced for the 6 counts of child sex crimes he committed in 2014 and 2015. A St. Louis County jury found Wade guilty of statutory rape in the first degree, 3 counts of statutory sodomy in the first degree, and statutory rape in the second degree, and enticement of a child. The victim was underage, a teen, at the school where Wade was working as a security officer at that time. The victim reported the crimes in 2020 and they immediately began to investigate. Kind of a sad story, kind of a mixed bag for me. I understand the reason for this story, but a former Washington, D.C. police lieutenant who served the D.C. police faithfully and honorably was acting as an instructor at the D.C. library several years ago. We reported on this. And he was teaching a baton class, and somehow he pulled his weapon and it killed a special police officer, Marisa Manion. He has stood his ground, saying that this was an accident and that he was extremely sorry, as you can imagine. But unfortunately, a jury this past week found him guilty of manslaughter. They reduced the charge from murder. He will serve 3 years in prison. The decorated officer may also lose his pension. His name was Lieutenant Jesse Porter. And I'm a little bit in between, because it wasn't intentional. It might have been reckless, but I've seen so many people over the last 10 years, and especially in recent years, who are released on probation for far more egregious crimes. I hope that he qualifies for release much sooner than those 3 years. I know the family is grieving, and I know that he's grieving, and his family's grieving. So this is not in any stretch a win-win for anybody. You may have heard that Texas is mandated now by law to have armed security at every school, elementary, high school, private schools. Dallas Independent School District just hired 167 new armed campus security officers. But the problem with this, they say, they can't get the personnel. They cannot find the qualified personnel to carry a firearm. They cannot find the qualified officer who is a level 3 armed security officer in Texas. And there's just not enough people to go around. Some schools are trying to find a way around it, even recruiting outside of the state. In Sacramento, a hospital security officer at the Sacramento Kaiser Permanente Hospital found a deceased person, a woman, in the vehicle. Now authorities say they are investigating it as a suspicious death. The mother of 6 had no reason to be there. Jamie Reed, 39. It's a mystery. Thankfully, security found her when they did. Unfortunately, they don't know exactly how long she was there. They do have surveillance cameras, and they are, of course, investigating this. But security officers often do find deceased bodies. It's one of those grim tasks that we perform, just like any other public safety official. Staying in California, San Diego jury tackled a lawsuit filed by a family after a man died after security officers at the transit had pinned him to the ground and knelt on his neck with San Diego police watching. In 2021, Metropolitan Transit District paid the family of Angel Zapata Hernandez $5.5 million to settle the lawsuit. Now, on Monday of last week, the city of San Diego agreed to pay another $225,000 because the officers didn't intercede, didn't do anything to prevent what occurred. Also on the west side of our country, the West Coast, in Oregon, authorities there say they're going to be hiring armed security officers for homeless camps. They say there's been a rise in violence, stabbings. A company by the name of Compass Security and Investigations got the contract They will begin immediately, and there's no word as to how long or how many camps will have this security, but it's going to be ongoing for the time being. A New Jersey college student is under arrest after threatening to kill a security officer. According to police in Newton, New Jersey, the school was evacuated. Police made the arrest of Carl V. Taggart, 24, at his home. Authorities still say he is currently in custody, waiting his trial. In Alabama, outside of the metro area of Huntsville, a man's been arrested after murdering 2 students at the Alabama A&M University. Authorities say that Willie Brandon Nance, 23, has been charged. According to authorities, they're not releasing much other information. This is ongoing at this time. We're seeing violence again this year across campuses from elementary to high school to college, and there doesn't seem to be any end in sight. A Spartanburg, South Carolina security officer working at a high school has been fired. The employee of Defender Security Services was fired because while working at Dorman High School, he was transacting business with an employee of the school. He was selling him a firearm. And after the agreement, the security officer left the handgun, he thought, in the employee's vehicle, but it was actually a student's vehicle. The student reported it. Police responded. Now, police say that no crime was committed, although some say that's questionable because guns are not allowed on the premises, and although the security officer was armed, he also had an additional weapon, which he shouldn't have. He still may face a charge, but right now, police say no charges are pending. And speaking of schools, in Alabama's largest public school district, the Sheriff's Department is about to take over security of all schools. The Mobile County School System and the Mobile County Commission agreed to replace security with law enforcement. That will be taking place here within the next few days, they say. A Fairview Park, Ohio school security officer has been recognized for 50 years of service. Roberta Bobby Wright is a crossing security officer and a reserve police officer. She started this gig 50 years ago, and through all of the ups and downs and changes in her life, the weather and all the other things mixed in, she has stayed the course. And we're sending her an award, and I just want to say bravo, because I don't know of many people who stay the course 50 years in anything. And this is really one of those opportunities to recognize someone who has gone well above and beyond. A situation coming out of Washington, D.C., we've been reporting on this for about a year. We got wind last year that the George Washington University, which has its own campus police department, but they are armed but not with a firearm. We got wind last year that they were looking at arming their police force, much like another school recently did in Baltimore. And there's been a lot of uproar. In fact, according to what we have read, some really are very upset and mad. And really, there's no reason to be. There's a lot of crime, a lot of murder, a lot of violence, and I don't really understand why this has caused really the stink and the uproar that it has. But the university is going to arm some of their police officers and then continue to arm others, and we'll see how it goes. I think every police officer And certainly every campus police officer or anyone with authority of police should be armed. And I think that the majority of security should also be armed these days. On a closing note, a private police officer was killed in June in Virginia. Now, this private police officer worked for the Wintergreen Police Department. The Wintergreen is a resort and also a residential community. He had police authority through the Commonwealth of Virginia, and he also had police authority in Nelson County, where Wintergreen is located. And he responded to a disturbance and was shot and killed. Now, because he was a private police officer, many private police departments, in fact, all that I know across the country, do not receive the same benefits as other police officers when they're killed in the line of duty. We have tried to work with this. We have talked to the Department of Justice, which runs the program, numerous times with very little movement. We have talked with the governor of Virginia a number of years ago with very little movement. But now several counties have taken on that task, and those private police officers working in those counties will now be covered with the same benefits as if a city or county police officer was killed in the line of duty. Appomattox County supervisors just recently agreed to extend the same line of duty pay to families of private police. Nelson County also had moved on that, and now we have several other counties in the Richmond area that are looking at doing the same thing. I believe that all private police officers who are sworn with full arrest authority like any other police officer should be included in the Department of Justice public safety benefits that helps to pay the family, even offers free scholarship children to go to college, and we're going to continue to fight on this. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. You're listening to the voice of the Frontline Protector on the Private Officer Beat Radio. Are you looking for the finest private security officer training in the Charlotte metropolitan area? Do you need PPS qualifications in armed or unarmed training? Or maybe you're over there across the line in South Carolina and you need the SLED training. Well, we've got the right training at the right time for you. Premier Training Academy, located at 5624 Executive Center Drive, Suite 142 in metropolitan Charlotte, North Carolina. Give them a call today, 704-806-4933. They also offer firearms training, personal protection, first aid and CPR, and so much more. Call John at 704-806-4933. For as many years as Private Officer International has been in business, we have proposed changes in the security industry for safety reasons. We have talked about violence against private security, violence in the accounts and clients that we serve, violence in our communities, violence in this country, violence all around us. And that topic has not changed in its seriousness. I'm sure that if I sat here long enough, I could probably compile a huge dossier on all of the injuries and deaths of security officers and trace it back to one of just a few things. We all know that violence is on the rise, violence against private security, violence against law enforcement, and that's a fact, and it's not going to change anytime soon other than to get worse. I really get very frustrated when talking with security company owners and security officers themselves about the lackadaisical, the attitude that don't really got to worry about it. It's not that bad. It's not going to happen here. Just this past weekend, I was talking with a police sergeant from South Carolina. And in our conversation, we were talking about a neighboring town that is exploding in growth, new schools, shopping centers, subdivisions. It's right outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, just across the border. And in my conversation, I was telling the sergeant about, how big that area is growing. It's right off a major interstate, but I can't believe how small the police department still is. I cannot imagine trying to police a growing community, one especially off from a major interstate, and being able to do it with just a few officers. I mean, I don't know the exact number, but it can't be more than a few dozen. And this was even before it was so difficult to recruit officers. And the sergeant said, well, it's probably one of a few things, and you probably know them all. Politics. They still don't want to advertise that there's crime in this growing community. That might detract or push back some from moving there, businesses from building new businesses there, relocating there. So they don't want to advertise it too much. Another thing is that many people themselves, leaders, don't want to believe that there is a crime problem. They don't believe that it's that bad. In talking with security company owners and security officers themselves, they often say that very thing. It's not that bad. I know I'm working the projects. I know that I'm in a bad area. I know things happen. I read your blog, your newsletters, but it's not that bad. It is that bad. It is that bad. And I have video after video, news story after news story to show not only is it that bad, but how it has really peaked, gotten so bad, so out of hand across the board. All that you have to do is Google police assault, security officer assault, read our newsletters and blogs, and you'll find that this is definitely worse in the last few years than it has been prior to that. While many police officers die in the line of duty from non-fatality, non-fatal situations, non-gun and violence, oftentimes it's from accidents, heart attacks, training, things like that. That's changing. Those statistics are changing, and now it's all related to attacks. We, as security officers, in the last 20 almost years that we've been keeping statistics, almost all security officers die of attacks, shootings, stabbings. But unfortunately, people still don't believe it. I don't know why. And if you do, I'd like to hear it, because I just cannot understand for the life of me why security company owners, security officers, clients, and others still believe that being in the security industry is a piece of cake, a walk in the park, because it certainly is not. There are a number of things that we can do if we want to decrease the violence affecting private security today. Whether or not we want to is another thing. Number one, account choice. It's difficult when you're in business to turn down business. I get that. Believe me, I've been in business for a long time. But sometimes we have to look at an account and look at, is this really worth taking this account? What's the risk and liability? what's the dangers to my staff? We need to have better account choice. Number 2, we have to have better account background, specification, preparation, and kind of a scoring system. So we're going to take this account. I score this on the low end of a C or D. It is dangerous. It's not, riots or gangsters every day, but there's quite a bit of danger. Let me see what we need to do to help to protect our officers and our clients and customers. Maybe we need to add a second security officer. Maybe we need to close down one entrance. It has 2 entrances. Let's close down the back entrance and man the front entrance. Let's do more community activism. Let's get them engaged in protecting themselves. Number 3, officer selection. I know this day and time is difficult to get employees, and some might say, we've got to take whatever walks through the door, and that's always been kind of the model of many security companies. If they're breathing, if they got a pulse, we're going to hire them. We really do need to get away from that mentality. It's that mentality that has many security officers not only being injured and killed, but being arrested because they don't have the training, the experience to know when to use lethal force or when to do certain things. And we're seeing that in law enforcement today. A lot of the requirements of police officers have been decreased so that they can get more people in. Training hours have been decreased. In some departments, they don't even have physical training because they say, when's the last time that a police officer ran 10 miles to chase a bad guy? It's the mentality that law enforcement is getting because they're so desperate just to fill that uniform with a body. The 4th thing is weapons, defensive tactics. Everybody should have weapons, whether it be non-lethal or lethal. I prefer lethal. But we need to make sure that the training is in place, that we are not only training them, but managing them as well. There are many police officers these days involved in shootings and fatal shootings. Well, there are just as many, if not more, security officers who are involved in shootings every week, every day, actually, and many are fatal. So if we're going to arm them, we need to be training them, managing them, and making sure that we're doing residual training, that it's not just going to the range once a year to qualify. That's the bare minimum. We need to be doing a lot more than that. The next thing that we can do, and I have done a complete study on this, my team and I, a number of years ago, we know for a fact that many security officers died because they had a lack of communication devices. When we say communication devices, we're talking about two-way radios, a 24-hour dispatch, or someone on the other end of the two-way. Many people rely too much on cell phones. When you're in the heat of the battle, when you're in a gunfight, when you're trying to save your life, protect yourself, when you have, 3 people against one, there's no time to say, whoa, what are you doing? Time out. I need to call 911. That's ridiculous. It's not reality. So communication devices, walkie-talkies, they all now have that emergency button. You hit one button, it goes into a GPS mode, notifies dispatch or another officer. We need to get online with being able to contact our personnel and then to contact resources and backup in emergency situations. And last but not least, we need to have good community relations, not only with our clients, but the community around us. I have done many goodwill events over the years. I've given away backpacks full of back-to-school goods, candy on Halloween, even some Christmas presents to children in apartments and other locations that we had under contract. And we've done a lot of community events. We've also met with communities on how to reduce crime, how to better secure your apartment, what type of locks to use, so on and so forth. So these things, they sound pretty simple and they can be easily done. But the question always, of course, is going to be, are you willing? Are you willing to take just these little steps to better protect not only your employees, but your company from liability, and those that you serve, those that you protect, those clients and their staff or customers or residents who rely strictly on you for their safety. Account choice. We really need to be thinking more about that and be more discriminating and start, not taking every account. Account background, specifications, preparation. A lot of accounts start within just a few days of contract. I think that's a mistake. We need to really find out more about the property, prepare for it, get our team together that's going to be taking over the property and really be well prepared. We need to have better officer selection and training. Even in these difficult times, you can find somebody who really wants the job. A lot of people these days, they want a secure job. They've seen what COVID can do. They've seen how many companies have closed down. They want to be secure, especially if they have a family and especially if they're older and they're just not jumping from job to job anymore. We need to have communication devices. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. We need to have weapons and defensive tactics. And last but not least, like I said, we really need to be more engaged with the community that we serve and protect. That's going to do it for today's radio show. Thanks for being here with us on the Private Officer Beat Radio. Remember, if you have any comments or questions, you can contact us anytime at helpdesk@privateofficer.com. Until the next time, you all be safe, be blessed, and we'll see you back here on the radio.